Okay, so this video is going to be about the roller coaster of emotions that you're likely to experience when you first move abroad, especially with family. Just before you move abroad, you're going to be euphoric. You're going to be really excited. You're going to be thinking about how your life's going to change for the better for the most part. Obviously, nobody's moving abroad to make their life worse. They want to romanticize the place that they're moving to, but be prepared for it to all come crashing down when you first get there. And I've said this in one of my other videos, you need to have a plan B and a plan C, because when you get to your new home, then that's when reality hits you and the rose tinted glasses come off. For some people, it takes a long time for them to come off, but for me, I'm very analytical and I'm very quick to make executive decisions. And when we first moved to Dominican Republic, for many different reasons that I've explained in the other videos, it just wasn't the place for us. And at that point, it was really stressful because I was the driver of this move. Pretty much me. No one else wanted to move and everyone else following me, as they put it. So it was stressful because we moved from England to Dominican Republic and nobody liked it there. Immediately I was thinking, oh my God, we're coming off the rails before we even started, pretty much. But yeah, I did my research prior to this, and the plan B was to move to Brazil. And thank God we came here beforehand and did our research and whatnot, because we love it here now. My family's happy here. And my wife especially has said that she would never want to move back to England. So be prepared for that euphoric high when you first leave, and then also just come crashing down to earth and things not going your way and your family hating it. Another thing that I experienced when I moved here was the realization that my family could grow old and die without me being there. And that made me very sad sometimes. And I had this in the pit of my stomach, that feeling, not of dread, but of just sadness, that obviously in Brazil, I've got no family here and all my family's on the other side of the Atlantic. They're going to grow old without me for the most part. Of course, I see them once, twice a year. When I go down, they come here. But yeah, there was times where I felt really sad, and especially when my mum came here the first time, I felt very sad driving away from the airport because she was crying when I dropped off at the airport. And I felt that. And sometimes you do question, like, oh, why am I here for? I should be there in England or whatever, or I should be there with my family. But then, and this is another point I want to touch on, is that I moved abroad, not just for me, but for my family. And I know that it's sad to leave my mum and dad behind, but they've lived their life the way they want to. They've done the things that they wanted. They didn't want to move abroad. They didn't want to go and live in another country, which is totally understandable, because the majority of the population of the world doesn't move abroad, do they? They stay where they was born and they die where they was born. And that's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But me, I always felt like I didn't belong in England. I felt like I got itchy feet, and I just felt like that little island wasn't for me. There was more to the world. And I'm right. I've been proven right with my gut instinct, because I got here. I'm happy here. I'm happy here for so many of the reasons I have got into on other videos. But yeah, so it was sad leaving my mom and dad behind and whatever. But of course, I'll see them often. And when the kids leave school, then we'll be able to go travel more often. But they live their life. They live life the way that they want to live it. And now I'm living my life the way that I want to live it. And no regrets. I can't be bound to a country and a place just because it will make other people feel sad. So this was another dip on the roller coaster of emotions, because I suppose another dip that will probably come in the future is when somebody dies, close family, friend or whatever. Then that's going to be difficult. It's difficult enough when you're there, but when you're not there, obviously I'll try and be there for anybody that's on the verge, but things happen. No, people die at the blue. So that'll probably be another dip. But then you've got to roll with the punches. and you've got to look at the bigger picture, because we're here not just because of me and my selfish wants and needs, but because my kids can live a better life here, in my approximation, in my opinion. They can be outdoors, at the beach. The weather permits outdoor lifestyle a lot more than England and the UK. And by the way, if England had the climate that I have here in Brazil, I probably would never want to move. It's a perfectly fine place to live. Okay, I'll probably go and live by the sea, somewhere in Cornwall, somewhere in Wales, I don't know. But it's the weather that drove me away for the most part. I enjoy being around different cultures, and I've got ADHD. So, I'm quite a restless person, and I need a lot of stimulation. So I always found life in England boring. So another thing is that the weather might play with your emotions more than you think as well, especially if you move somewhere in the tropics. This affected me way more than what I thought it would. When I moved to Dominican Republic, I just could not stand that heat during July. It was August? Yeah, August. So the peak of the summer there was just unbearable. And that really made me question my life choices, being in that hell-like conditions, sauna-like conditions, like just a pressure cooker. Oh, horrible. Sorry, but it was. And sorry, not sorry. But here at least we have seasons and whatnot. So yeah, you need to be prepared for these negative emotions. Obviously, you're going to be prepared for the highs now. Everybody wants to experience those, and you're going to be happy to receive those highs. So, but you definitely have to mentally prepare yourself for negative emotions cropping up, but don't let them dictate to go home, to throw the towel in or whatever. This is why it's so important, if you ask me, to have a plan B and plan C. And I still have a plan C. This is plan B that I'm on now. But if things don't work out, I know where I'm going next for plan C. It'll be somewhere in Spain or Portugal. So if you've got kids, this adds a lot more into the mix as well, in terms of it's difficult seeing your children struggling. It's difficult enough to see them struggling in your own country, but when you see them struggling in another country, that's particularly tough. I've cried about it a couple of times because my oldest son, the youngest one is a lot more easygoing, but my oldest son has ADHD as well. He's got it worse than me as well. He cannot stop moving, but he's such a sweet little boy. And sometimes people, as we know, it doesn't matter where in the world, kids can be cruel. And they've been cruel to him sometimes here because he doesn't speak Portuguese properly, even though he's learning it. He can speak 50% of the language now properly, or he understands it way better than me. But still, because he doesn't play football as well as they do, or he doesn't understand what they're saying, they make fun of him sometimes. And I'll step in if I see them being cruel to him, but it's definitely difficult. And so if you go abroad with kids, be prepared for them being picked on, right? Now, my kids never physically picked on because I've taught them how to look after themselves and how to fight, basically. But obviously they can't just start hitting people for saying words like that. What society will we live in if you punched everyone who said something that you dislike? So I've made that crystal clear to them. You do not lay your hands on somebody just for words that they use. So it's difficult for them to obviously come back at the bully, at the person picking them with words themselves, because they can't speak the language yet. And their mom speaks Spanish. So imagine if you move to somewhere that has a completely different and unrelated language, like China, Japan. That would blow my mind. Looking at my son's homework sometimes in Portuguese, I feel so bad for the kid. I really do. We are in the process of moving him schools actually because of this, because the amount of homework that they give them here in Brazil and the type of homework they give them as well, which don't agree with at the school. We've got options. That's a good thing about living here. You've got options, not just a state school. We send them to private school. So, sorry, I'm rambling a little bit, but to get back to the point, be prepared for your kids to be sad and do your research on how to comfort them. and what you can do. And if it means moving them to school, move them to school. If it means enrolling them in, I don't know, martial arts classes or whatever to protect themselves, do it. If it means enrolling them in private language lessons so they can pick up the proficiency of the language quicker, do it. You got to be prepared for these things. And yeah, another thing as well, this is like related, but be prepared to spend a lot more than what you expected. And I am spending a lot more here in Brazil than what I expected. I have to pay for private school. I have to pay for all the materials at the private school. We pay for all of the hobbies. Food here isn't exactly cheap. Yes, it's cheaper than England, but it's not like dirt cheap. Some people think like Brazil's dirt cheap. It really isn't. Especially in Florianopolis, which is like the most expensive city in Brazil, alongside Balneário Camboriú and maybe like parts of Sao Paulo. But in general, it is expensive here to live. And that can put its strain on you, take its toll on you, because like you're constantly just like looking at the money coming in and then it's gone. And like I own in pounds, in British pounds, so that makes it easy. But yeah, like the pound's been diving lately because of all the crap that's going on in Iran, and that's difficult as well. So again, you get these negative feelings, but you just got to ride it, man. I suppose, yeah, it's riding the wave. Don't try and fight these waves. Ride with them and ride them out, because there's good days on the horizon as well, good times on the horizon. But don't chain yourself to some place that everybody's unhappy with and making everybody desperately sad and depressed. No, don't do that. Again, move to plan B, plan C, whatever. So yeah, that's the roller coaster of emotions, as I like to call it, that you need to be prepared for. So if any of you out there are expats and you've experienced any of these roller coasters, these ups and downs, peaks and troughs, please let me know in the comments what you found difficult, what you loved, what you struggled with, what your family struggled with. I want to hear it all. And if you can give me any advice on how to be a better parent for my child, for a child that's growing up in a foreign country. And that's another thing I'll say, is that he'll always be a gringo here probably to them, but I'm going to try and fortify his resolve so he doesn't get bothered by things like that. So yeah, if any of you got any advice for me, please give it to me. I'm receptive. Okay, thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video.